people don't give a shit.
He's giving them the business.
All the man is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He got it.
Goes Davis.
Oh my God.
Davis is going to run it all the way back.
Deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone. It's a touchdown. And the Gators have won the game.
50 to the 40. Herbert Whitfield to the 30. To the 20. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown FSU.
What's up, everybody?
It's me, your daddy, Roberto.
Every single week. And Davey Dave and Mr. Justin Patrick on air. And today we have a special guest. I know him from libertarian activities and whatnot, but he's a college football guy. He's got a great setup. And unfortunately, he's a Georgia fan. I'm bringing on Jim, a.k.a. Magoo, from the Ignore the Rant podcast. And I forgot the name of the other one. Almost perfect introduction. My bad, Magoo. Bring it in.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's all good. The podcast you couldn't remember, which is far more active than the podcast, is called Clock Management on YouTube most Tuesdays, somewhere between 9 and 10, whenever we can all get together. And depending on how this episode goes, you might not want to look that up at all. But
No. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be some shit talking. It is the week of the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That's for sure.
no
I
doubt.
can see you rocking the Georgia hoodie already, and you got that. You do have a Georgia Southern helmet up there.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah,
You go to Georgia Southern, or was that
yeah, and directly behind me, Georgia Southern
nice?
Eagle. Yeah, I went to Southern, and I grew up so close to UGA. I was born into the Georgia fandom. My parents were fans. My grandparents were fans. They went to the games back when you could sit on the railroad tracks and watch it for free. I've been going to Georgia games and watching Georgia football since I was in diapers, before I even knew there was a Georgia Southern. But I had to go to college in state, but just far enough away. Athens was far too close to home. I needed that college experience, so I had to go down near Savannah, Georgia, and let my freak flag fly, I guess.
Nice. And not only are you a Georgia fan, so you play the Gators every single year, but you're, I guess, also a semi-fan. Went to Georgia Southern, a team that handed the Gators probably one of the most embarrassing losses in recent memory.
That was an App State, Michigan type of day. and I hate App State, but it's the closest thing that compares. It's the biggest win I think I've ever seen Georgia Southern have outside of Division II national championships.
Yep. Well, that's unfortunate. Dave, how was your week? How was your week last week? You did good on your locks.
I did good. Yeah, if Tennessee didn't choke it away at Alabama, and not even I knew they were going to lose. I just hoped they could at least stay under 10 points. But nope, they gave it up even more. Alabama ended up covering the spread. It was unfortunate, so I did not have a perfect week. Still good though, still respectable, 4-1. I'm going to Vegas here in a couple of weeks, so I got to keep the hot streak up because I need to actually put my money down on this time. And if we're hot, we got to keep it rolling. I don't want to be second guessing myself. I'm trying to leave Vegas with some money in my pocket.
I agree, and I do think you got a little lucky there on that FSU with Riley Leonard re-injuring that ankle and FSU scoring that one in the fourth.
FSU scored that last touchdown. It was like, let's go. And then Riley Leonard being out, which obviously you don't want anyone to get hurt, especially a guy who's kind of local, Fairhope guy. So you don't want him to get hurt. But hey, a win's a win in my eyes at this point.
I agree. Justin, I want to give you a chance to explain your locks because you had technical difficulties with your internet last week. Couldn't get on the show. So what happened last week?
Let's start off the first one, Washington. That's a really tough game right there. I mean, 1-5, going against 1-5 Arizona State. You really think they do a good job, but they were causing fits throughout the entire game, and they really couldn't get sealed away until later in the game. Michael Penix throwing 2 interceptions early in the game. It's just not right to see that happening. But they had that flop game, but they're still 7-0 moving on. I was on the other side of that Riley Leonard injury to the point where it did affect me. And people are saying, that Leonard, his stats were so bad, like he didn't have an effect on the game. I was like, no, you can't say that. But the thing is, when you take away Riley Leonard of the game, they go after the quarterback in a whole different type of way. They go about their front seven a whole different type of way. And that made it a lot easier for FSU defensively to attack just a certain point of really how Duke could attack offensively. It was very limited after Leonard went out. And so it became very easy for FSU. So they got that last touchdown in those last 5 minutes, and that was it for me. And, tough way for it to go out. I think if Leonard had stayed in the game, I don't think Duke would have won, but I do think they would have covered because until Leonard went out, FSU didn't have a lead ever when he was playing in that game. OK State, yeah, that was a really good game. I think I was really proud of that pick.
That was a great pick. I also think that pick.
That was a good game. Georgia State, this was a really good pick, and this is just my Sun Belt knowledge coming through. If anyone can go against Marshall the way they did and blow them out, I mean, they beat them by multiple scores. I think it's 3 scores they beat them by. If they could do that versus Marshall, then they should be able to handle Louisiana Lafayette pretty easily. They're +3, and they won by 3. Wisconsin, -2.5. They came through really late in this game for me, luckily. They were losing majority of this game to Illinois, and they got a last touchdown in there in that last 3 minutes, I think it was, and they were able to put up a cover and win by 3. So, hey, a cover's a cover. We'll always take that. That's how we do it here.
Nice. Very concise, Justin. I love it. And then I will say, I would have taken if I'm Duke and my quarterback just got injured, they were down there, I want to say on like the 3-yard line.
That was
they went for it and ended up not making it. And the FSU goes and drives the length of the field and scores a touchdown, changes the momentum of the game completely. I think you got to take the points there. Do I think it would have mattered in the long run? I think FSU still would have won, but I think you got to take the points there. I don't know.
It was They knew. I mean, there's multiple ways that you can go about it. They're down multiple scores. They have probably the better chance of getting back down there closer to field goal range rather than getting down to the end zone again. So I can see where the mindset is like, hey, let's try and get a touchdown. We're so far here. We know like our chances of getting back here is a lot more harder than a chance of getting a field goal, getting to the 40 or the 30, and maybe getting a chance to put one up. And hopefully defense gets a chance to, hold them. But I mean, FSU in the end, they were able to just come back and win. And overall, I think it was a good game until Riley Leonard went out. I think that's a huge impact right there. I have multiple people, whether it be FSU fans or not FSU fans, say, "Oh yeah, like Riley Leonard didn't have an effect in this game either way." I was like, FSU didn't ever lead when Riley Leonard was in the game. Mm-hmm. So if I just don't think you're kind of casual if you think that because Riley Leonard's stats weren't that great, he didn't have an effect on the game. No, that FSU, they're going to change the entire way how they go about their secondary and their pass defense. Whenever he comes out the game, the pass defense gets let up and they load the box on the front 7 to where they just attack him a lot more.
Yeah, they were definitely able to do a lot more on defense. I think you're right.
Florida State Seminole Vesicles?
The Florida State Seminole Vesicles. That's correct. All right. And for me, I did okay. There was a minor asterisk that I will let people know. Minor asterisk on here. Last week I locked 6 games in, and I'd already locked 5 games in, and I locked that Penn State Ohio State game in, and so I went ahead and took that one out, and I ended up pushing on this Oregon Washington State game that was over 62. That ended up being right at 62, so that was a tough one there. But Iowa Minnesota under, that one hit. LSU whooped Army by 62 points, so they doubled the spread. Air Force, me and Davis were all over that one on that game. They won by 11, so by the hair of our chinny chins, we got that.
Barely.
And then Justin and I were all over that Oklahoma State. That Oklahoma State game was that was a big lock for me. I had to have it after they cost me money against after West Virginia cost me money last week. So
yeah, you cost me a lock too. I mean, you talked me into that one, and they lose on a Hail Mary to Houston. I didn't get a chance to bitch at you about that last week, but yeah, that's on fucking you.
Look, that was on me, and they busted my parlays on a Thursday night, so that's no way to go into the weekend. I don't know what to tell you. You can be mad at me, but ultimately your locks are your locks, and your record speaks for itself. We're gonna show the records right now when we show our locks later, but. I also have one more thing to say about last week. I definitely messed up really bad, and I blame myself for North Carolina losing.
I fucked
It was really bad. So we're just gonna play it. North Carolina's got Virginia coming to town.
Who cares?
I don't. I think Virginia's garbage this year.
That point.
Yeah.
Miss the Auburn's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and this is interesting at Jordan. Yeah, so we just went straight to the Auburn game. we said it was a foregone conclusion that North Carolina was going to win and beat Virginia because, as I said, Virginia was garbage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Virginia and North Carolina. That was a tough pill to swallow, man. I didn't expect that. I don't even think they turned the ball over that much. It was just they just couldn't get it going. So North Carolina now might not even be in the ACC championship. We were saying Florida State, North Carolina, undefeated, going into the ACC championship. Now it's kind of wide open again.
I think when it comes to the ACC, it's more the fact that it's FSU's now. Like, I feel like we can say that pretty comfortably. Like, they might drop Miami. Even then, they'll still make it, and they'll be okay in the end. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're going to make it to the conference championship no matter what. And the thing that popped up is the percentage of the Power 5 contenders. Big Ten right now, whoever wins the Big Ten is at 100% to make college football playoffs. I think SEC is second to make, like, they're at like 80%. Whoever wins that, they'll make college football playoffs. And it goes Washington, and then it goes Big 12, then the SEC, and then it goes Washington out of the Pac-12, and then FSU. FSU has like their contenders for the ACC are like a 26% chance to make college football playoffs if everyone stays undefeated. So
this was just one of those random upsets, right? Like, there's always that upset every year where a really tough team faces off against a bleh kind of team. I mean, they were 1-5. They were 1-5, but it was just one of those weird, crazy, fluky games. And it was a home game. That's what sucks even more for North Carolina. It was a home game. There's a reason why we said, who cares, going into this one. It seemed obvious, right? The writing was on the wall. And then it was one of those weird, fluky games.
Unless it's in the Dean Dome, home field advantage in Chapel Hill don't mean shit. Like, it doesn't. I think their football atmosphere is horrible. They don't do a very good job. But unless it's in the Dean Dome, it's great. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, they showed a picture of the student section in this game, and it was like pretty much empty. Not empty, but there was a sparse seat in a chair compared to the last few weeks. Mugu, you got any games that stood out for you last week?
Well, yeah, definitely the Washington Arizona State game. I don't think anybody saw that game being that close. Plus, with what did Penix have? 2 interceptions?
Yeah,
they're 2 in the first quarter.
And you're like, this must have been at Arizona State, and no, it was in Husky Stadium,
which is weird.
Yeah,
that's like a top 10 place to that's difficult to play in, So that was like the weirdest part of that whole situation. Is like, damn, they walked in the Husky Stadium and gave them fits.
Yeah, I was actually looking up the schedule to kind of just get an idea of, who's coming up on Washington's schedule. I know it gets tougher, and I think that they were doing a little schedule watching, and much like North Carolina, they were looking ahead to, obviously we're going to win this game. We can play down to our competition, still walk out of here with a win easily, and those are the times that you get caught with your pants down, especially in college.
Oh yeah, I think teams at this point, when we've seen this many upsets this year, anyone schedule watching should have learned their lesson by now. Like, we should know, if you're going to do it, focus on the team at hand this year, because this is kind of like 2007. Still, to me, I said it at the beginning of the season. I think it's going to be a weird season. I think it has been, and I think it's going to continue to be a weird season. But we'll get into the rest of last week here. So just running through it real quick. Justin, you want to give a Marshall update? Your weekly Marshall update. I like to let you have that one.
We fucking suck.
All right. There we go.
Yeah, no, it's been tough. It's coming to show how tough the Sun Belt really is, and you had JMU. That's a really tough one. Georgia State, they're actually better than what you would think they'd be. Right now, we're like fearing, hey, we have to find 2 more wins to even make a bowl game. We're like, we don't see anything on the schedule. It's like, oh, that'll be easy to do that. That's just a Sun Belt this year. It's highly competitive. I think it's the second most highest competitive conference in college football because it's just so spread with talent, and every game's a great game. Like, if you want good football, just turn on Sun Belt ball. I mean, it's looking awesome right now. I mean, Old Dominion beat App State last week. That shouldn't happen. It's just weird in that conference, but it's fun. It's not fun if you're a fan, but it's great.
Yeah, App State is in last place in their division in the Sun Belt East. That shows you how just fucked up the whole Sun Belt is right now, which is fine with me, but that just lets you know that you got teams that have no business winning as much as they are now. So it's wild.
It's weird. I mean, JMU, they're in the same spot as what they were last year. We set them off course. They were ranked 25th. We went into JMU. We knocked them off, and they went under us in the division. Now they beat us 29 last Thursday. And now we didn't have Rasheen Ali, which that's a huge thing. He's been the best player in Sun Belt for last year. He's the best player in Conference USA. So, when you don't have that guy, he's arguably one of the best running backs in the country. Yeah, that's going to make things it's going to be really difficult, when you don't have that guy to go to. And then also when your quarterback sprains his ankle. So, yeah, that one too.
And you got another tough matchup this week that will go over, and we might make a shot game or not. We'll see. I know you proposed it, but we'll see how it lays out. All right, starting off, obviously the game of the week: Penn State at Ohio State. I thought Ohio State might win it by a field goal and keep it close, but Penn State just couldn't move the ball. They had 15 plays on Ohio State's side of the field. Ohio State had 44 plays, I want to say, on Penn State's side of the field. And Marvin Harrison Jr. had 162 yards receiving. And, Drew Aller could not get anything going. And yeah, that was pretty much the story of the game, man. I actually started watching the UCF Oklahoma game because that was a more entertaining game at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. That was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, but Penn State, Ohio State first, guy. I want to let you give your take.
Drew Aller just couldn't get comfortable. One, he's scrambling a good amount. It's like he was definitely rushing his throws because there was never really a moment where he could stay comfortable. There was one moment in the first quarter where, and by the way, like, the game was close. Like, it was a close game throughout. I think it was either late in the first, early in the second. He scrambles out. He looks downfield. You can tell he has a man. He throws it, and it goes 10 yards over his head. And it was like a 25-yard slant route. But it was that was the theme of the day. He was not accurate. He was rushing his throws. He couldn't get comfortable. Ohio State's defense was just making life miserable for that entire offense. And when your defense is able to keep you in the game like that, Ohio State and Penn State's still extremely respectable. They did not drop that far in the AP. But Ohio State, you're just good enough on offense to where if your defense can hang on, you're going to score points. And you saw an example of that this weekend.
Well, so to dispute that, Aller, this was you have to give massive credit to Ohio State before you get anywhere in this, and that is you faced the offense that was 5th in the country in points per games through 6 weeks. You faced a quarterback who hasn't thrown an interception all year. He was averaging 65, 66 completion percentage on the season as a rookie, or not a rookie. Sorry, as a freshman. He's a
redshirt freshman or something like that.
That's a really good place to be, in your first year of ball. So seeing him do what he's done so far, he's been a really impressive quarterback, and he was at 31% going into the last minute of the fourth quarter. He's had a quarterback rating of 145 on the season, and this game he had a rating of 29. So, you have to give credit to Ohio State's defense, first of all. They played great. They didn't allow a third down conversion at all. They were over 15 on third down conversions. They didn't get in the end zone until garbage time in the last 30 seconds. Ohio State's defense looks really good. And then you look at over their offense, slow. Yes, can agree with that. But Penn State does have a great defense. I mean, they've shut out Iowa, who is supposed to try and be a better offense this year. And while they've been better, they're still not great. But, they're shutting out teams. They've been really good on defense. And I think it's going to come together a lot more when they do face Michigan. I think this is going to – the whole Big Ten perspective will come together in a couple weeks when Penn State faces Michigan, because I think people don't realize how close it will be, because Aller will play good ball. I think Penn State's defense will play great ball, and I think they're going to give them fits. Not saying Penn State's going to win. It will be competitive, though. But now, for the last part of this game, Marvin Harrison, holy shit. 11 catches, 162 yards, a touchdown. Guy was just automatic throughout the game, and for Kyle McCord to have him, I mean, he caught half of his completions. Yeah, I mean, that looks really good to have that type of guy. You got Maya Williams back, who was out. He's battling some stuff. So having him, he had the other touchdown. That looked pretty good for him as well.
He looked good. He
Yeah.
looked really good, actually.
So, the offense is starting to come together. It's up to Kyle McCord, really. But at the end of the day, Ohio State's the only team with multiple top 10 wins in the country.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Davis, Magoo, you guys got anything on that game? That was by far the game of the week.
Oh, I mean, I already shared mine.
Yeah, I mean, call me Michigan because I saw that coming from a mile away.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what it showed there is that, like, when you have an elite offense and a better than good defense, which Ohio State clearly does this year, they will beat any combination that Penn State's able to muster. Plus, James Franklin, what is he, 3-13 against like top 10 teams in his career?
He's barely won. He's hasn't beat Ohio State since 2016. I mean, his stats for in the big games are just not there. He can get you the 10 wins, but he's not going to win you the big games.
It was like 1-19 or something like that. But I was watching the Late Kick with Josh Payton, and he went through every single one of those. And the one game that they won, they were favored to win that game. So all the other games, they were not favored to win in those top games. And they're probably going to be against Michigan or Ohio State, or maybe a bowl game.
I do want to bring this up, though, because I feel like a lot of people, including some of you, are not giving Ohio State enough credit for this win. It's not because they beat Penn State. That's not why I want they should get credit. It's more the fact of the matter they have a defense. They haven't had a defense really ever under Ryan Day. In their great games, we've seen them get in the shootouts of Clemson. We've seen them in the shootout with Georgia last year. What were they missing? They were missing defense. When it came to the blowouts versus Michigan the past 2 years, they didn't have a defense, so Michigan ran all over them. They have a badass defense right now, a great front seven, and a couple good guys in that secondary. This is the missing piece that they needed as people are like, hey, what do you do about Michigan? This is what they're missing when it comes to Michigan. Because now it's not about, okay, can you outscore Michigan? It's, okay, can Michigan try and hold back this offense? Because we know that Ohio State's defense is going to hold their offense a lot better than what we've seen the past couple seasons.
I agree. I mean, their defense has come leaps and bounds from where they were. And I don't know if you're referring to me or not, but this game, I was kind of waiting on this game to see it, because I didn't really think Notre Dame was that consistent or solid. They lost to Louisville, and I still thought that. And now I'm seeing Ohio State's resume compared to everyone else. I think they might have the most impressive wins out of anyone in the country so far. So to me, I might put them in my number one spot. I don't know. We haven't done an official top 10 ranking, but they're up there. They're in consideration for the number one team, in my opinion.
I just think that strength of schedule is the only thing that you could talk about right now this time of year. If everyone hasn't played their big games and conference championships haven't happened, strength of schedule is the main thing you have to bring up. And Ohio State, they've won multiple top 10 games, and they've been close. They've been great games, been really good games to watch. But at the end of the day, they're winning the games they're supposed to win, and those top 10 games are games that can put them out. And people are always saying they may not win that. They did win these. And now the only one that really stands in the way is the Michigan game, and Michigan still hasn't gotten to theirs. I know people are saying Michigan just looks so good. Well, Michigan's 7-0. Yeah, so they're everyone's oh, they should be the best team in the country. Well, it's should they be the best team in the country because they're 7-0, or are we not focused on the fact of why they're 7-0, and that's because they haven't faced any ranked teams. And they haven't faced any ranked teams. Of course, they should be 7-0. That's how it goes.
Well,
And
I'm gonna steal something. You mentioned Josh Pate a minute ago. I'm gonna steal something from him, and that is, do we say that they're not the first because they haven't played anybody, or can we just tell that, yes, this is still the same team from last year that beat Ohio State? I don't know who all they lost from that team that all of a sudden makes them not that same team from last year. And if you took the Kansas City Chiefs and put them up against a high school team or 50 high school teams, you wouldn't say that Kansas City isn't good just because now they're playing high school teams. Like, you're either good or you're not. And I understand needing to see them prove themselves against upper echelon talent. We haven't even gotten the playoff rankings yet. Everything right now is just kind of a feel that's a hangover from last year based on expectations from the summer, and have they lived up to them or not? So this is a lot of words to say. I don't think we know. And I would still say Ohio State traditionally up until Halloween always impresses. And then something happens just over the last couple of years, ever since Ryan Day's taken over. November comes around, and then all of a sudden, oops-a-daisies. And then now we're having to recalibrate where we think Ohio State belongs. I don't know if that happens this year, but I'm not crowning them yet.
And then you put one of these teams like Ohio State or Michigan up against an SEC school, and history usually tells us it doesn't always go very well. But the difference between, I think, like the Michigan team, not last year that lost to TCU, but the team before that lost to Georgia in the college football playoff, is that this Michigan team really is a complete team up to this point. They're scoring points at will. They're looking extremely good. Defensively, they're not allowing anybody to do anything. But then again, you get to let's just say they beat Ohio State. They move on to the college football playoffs. They might make it to the college football playoffs too, depending on how the rest of the season goes. Wait till they actually play another team outside of their conference that, I'm still curious about Georgia, even though they're playing Florida this week and they're probably going to win. Like, I still wanted to see them play against these other schools like an SEC school, because history tells us it doesn't go very well.
I get this, but we can't ignore the Georgia-Ohio State game last year. That was a
phenomenal game.
Like, you can't say that Ohio State
should have been the national championship.
Didn't give them fits, right? Like, you can't say that. I mean, I want to ask you, Jim. Like, that was probably y'all's hardest game since y'all's had this streak and had this like dynasty kind of happen. That's been y'all's toughest game, really. Now, other than the Alabama SEC championship a couple years ago, that's so like you can't ignore that. And when Michigan has played these SEC teams or teams outside the conference, they flop. But Ohio State, if we're going through history, they are notorious to play these teams competitive. That's why they've been to the most playoffs out of the Big Ten. And then they stand up for it. They just, like, for some reason, they didn't have a defense these past couple of years, and they couldn't beat Michigan. But for some reason, when Michigan would step outside the Big Ten, they just get absolutely popped.
Speaking of Michigan and stepping outside of the Big Ten, or maybe stepping into 11 schools in the Big Ten, news dropped in the last week. I think it was the day after our episode last week, or maybe even hours after our episode last week. News dropped that Michigan was suspected of signal recording and signal stealing. And here's Pete Thamel saying that sources say that staffer Connor Stallions bought tickets for more than 30 games at 11 Big Ten schools over the past 3 years. Coincidentally, when they started beating Ohio State. And there's evidence of the sideline taping, and it's going to be sent to the NCAA. So what's going on? Are they going to suddenly get worse because they can't steal the signals anymore, or is this the same team? And also, are other teams doing this and Michigan just got caught? Because that's kind of what I think.
All I know real quick is if they don't start warm-ups in the big house with the first song being played, I Saw the Signs, they're missing a major moment.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's the thing is about Michigan, like, this isn't the first time we've seen this happen. Like, we had a similar situation happen with the Patriots a couple of seasons ago in the NFL. And then, of course, the Astros are like a big one, like when it comes to like using technology and advancement for sign stealing. The Astros did it in the worst way possible. I think the way that the Patriots did it and Michigan did it, it's more of just studying your opponent. And I guess you can get mad at it, but unless you're doing it during a game where you're like hacking into a system saying, okay, they're calling in this out route right here, this guy's going to run a hitch and go, and it's going to be an RPO to the right side, I don't see why this really matters. I mean, you can like for a baseball perspective. This is of course a football podcast. I see this happen numerous times where coaches are sent to opposing players' games and they will sit down the first base line and just stare into a dugout and learn either pitch calls or tap calls when it comes to just first and thirds and whatnot. Like it's just studying your opponent, in my opinion, and people get mad at it because they want to call it cheating.
I'm with I first when I saw this story come out, I was thinking, like when we used to play baseball, it was very common to try and pick up signals from the other coach, right? Are they going to steal? Are they going to throw a pitch out? Are they going to do whatever? Because that's just kind of part of it. And if you get caught, maybe you'll get a baseball thrown at you for breaking an unwritten rule. But as long as you're not using technology and stuff, it's whatever. Then you just kind of start looking into this and find out, well, the NCAA banned this. You're not allowed to go to other games and you're not allowed to scout them. You're not allowed to you're not allowed to record signals. And apparently this staffer bought all these tickets to all these different games. He bought tickets to 11 different games confirmed by 30 games by 11 different schools. And this information was confirmed by 11 different schools, which is funny. I personally, I would hate to see Jim Harbaugh and Michigan as a whole suffer from this if this was a rogue operation. Now, if this was a collaborative effort, then yeah, you're going to have to fight these people. One, that is cheating. If you're knowingly breaking a rule, that's cheating.
There's no way it wasn't. If the signals were received by the team in any way, that's collaborative. That's
so. Now, I was one of the articles I read a couple days ago. There was an unnamed source that said this scandal is actually bigger than the Astros scandal because it actually involves traveling and really doing advanced scouting, hiring people who specialize in that kind of stuff. This guy apparently has a background in hacking and stuff like that.
That's badass.
And he went to the Naval Academy. He went to the Naval Academy too.
That's badass, bro. That's badass. I don't care. That's badass.
Well, the thing about this, that rule that the NCAA is claiming has potentially been breached was created in 1994. And it was created for the sole purpose of this was never against the rules until 1994. And the only reason why it became quote unquote illegal is because it provided an unfair advantage to schools who could afford to travel to future opponents' games to steal signals. It was part of the game back before 94. And because the smaller schools didn't have the same budget as a Michigan, like a Marshall couldn't afford to go to all 12 of their, or 11 of their opponents or whatever, to do what Michigan allegedly has done. So they made it illegal then, but it was one of those things that was not enforced. It's only enforced even when there's rumblings of it. And going back to Josh Pate and other people, there are allegations like this. There are many schools alleged to be doing this, have been doing this. No one's ever really stopped doing this. And the NCAA normally just will not use their enforcement arm unless they literally you poke them. And Harbaugh has gone hard after the NCAA. He's created issues between him and the NCAA where other coaches would have just gotten over it and let it, end. And so I think the NCAA is trying to make a point. Plus, not to mention, it's not a secret that Harbaugh flirts with the NFL every year. And I think the NCAA is trying to ease his exit after the Chargers coach gets fired and he goes out to LA to live a good, happy life. I think that this is all not a conspiracy, but we're going to make a point while we still have you around, because otherwise we really don't give a shit about this rule.
Yeah.
You say LA, I say Chicago, but I think it'll go to Chicago.
I like LA. I like that one. I like that one a lot.
He quarterbacked in Chicago.
It's understandable, man, but LA is LA. When it comes to this, though, it's just I don't know. It's weird, right? Because it's this kind of reminds you of jaywalking, right? We all jaywalk across the street, but it's just the one time that a cop sees it, gets pissed off, and writes you a ticket or detains you for jaywalking, and you're just the one who got caught. I think
Heeled across the street. They did it really good. Whatever they're doing it fabulously.
They Heeled into a sea walk where they were supposed to be jaywalking.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they're doing it good. I mean, famously in 2013, the national championship game, Auburn tried to steal
Florida State Seminole vesicles.
tried to steal the Florida State Seminole vesicles signs, and they were doing a good job of it up until halftime. That's why the game ended up turning at halftime, because they had a former staffer who knew the signals. So this has been going on. All we have to figure out is, are we a pro signal stealing podcast? And I think, Magoo, I think you're kind of turning us into a pro signal stealing podcast, because I will not root for the NCAA. I won't do it. I'll root for Harbaugh versus the NCAA all day.
Yes.
But we've only made it to 2 games, and we're over 30 minutes into the podcast from last week. So we got to go. We already covered Florida State and Duke pretty much. And Washington. So we will go to that Oklahoma UCF game that was just heartbreaking for me to watch. Honestly, I really, really wanted Oklahoma.
So close.
Yeah, they were so close. And
2-point conversion away.
Almost.
yeah, so this
Almost
was
that first Big 12 win too, and what a way it would have been.
Yeah, so this was the 4th down play, and what they don't show you is 3 drives in a row, and the play prior to this, UCF's play calling to me was highly, highly questionable. Is it just me, or does it just irritate you as a fan when you're sitting there 3rd and long and your team throws it in the damn flats? Or throws a screen pass. Like screens, I get it. Maybe you got some extra blockers, but into the flats. Do you want a first down? Do you want to win the game?
It depends on the point in the game. That's always a weird one, because
no,
80
Justin, I will kick you off this pod. It was stopped 3 times in a row. On 3 drives in a row, they did this. I'm sitting there losing my shit. Throw the ball downfield. They do it one time and they get a touchdown here on 4th and 10. And then the play, the 2-point conversion play, which is about to come up. Here you go. A little too cute. Again, he's open on the
But he's
flat.
got 10 yards to run.
Right.
I've always hated any sort of play for 2-point that starts behind the line of scrimmage. There's no reason, you have one goal, you're getting the end zone, right? It's like another thing. If it's a 4th and 3 and you need a first down and you go to pass, there's no reason why you're throwing that ball anywhere in front of the sticks. All right, like that. I feel like that. But going into this, though, Gus Malzahn, he's always been a coach who doesn't get aggressive when you should be aggressive. He's a pussy, essentially, is what I like to call him.
I mean, I won't say that about any coach. I'm just saying, I understand there's philosophy and strategy behind these play calls, and whatever I'm thinking is probably not what you're thinking. But to me, to do it 2 or 3 drives in a row when it didn't work, that was, to me, I would just switch it up. I don't know. That broke my heart.
That's classic Malzahn, though, man. It really is classic Malzahn. It's classic Malzahn, and that's all I could say. I mean, you got to think about it. His best teams were, Nick Marshall and Cam Newton time, right? And those guys, they were just ballers. They just opened up the field, had great RPOs. They would take it themselves. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Don't know where he left. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen or hear Pat. He's a regular listener on this podcast. I'd like to hear his take on UCF and that play calling there in that situation. Maybe I'll get a call in from C. But moving on, Texas. I got to go lightning fast. Texas kept it close against Houston there.
Ooh, no, this one's a weird one. Davis, you brought this one up to me yesterday. This one's weird.
This one is weird.
Should have been a first down. Should have been a first down for Houston. They got screwed.
Yep, this is
could have sent it in. We could have played it up, but the main news here: Quinn Ewers is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks for Texas. That's
so.
Not
when it comes to, I might need to change the
And
lock.
probably won't see Arch Manning. Probably won't actually.
I need to change the lock.
You probably won't see Arch Manning actually.
Change a lock.
Who is the backup? Not named Arch Manning.
The backup is Malik Murphy.
Malik Murphy. He's solid. He's very decent. He's good.
He's solid.
But BYU, Kansas State, TCU, and then Iowa State. There's They probably have like the easiest.
That Kansas State, I would keep my eyes on it.
I would keep my eyes on that as well. Even BYU, like forget that they lost to TCU so bad. They do have some good wins on their schedule.
Yeah, that's not a lock. That's gonna be
Kansas State could sneak past Texas and find themselves back in the Big 12 championship.
You're not wrong. I like that take a lot too, and they're sneaky. They're being very, very sneaky,
which opens the door for Oklahoma to get back in the playoffs.
Yep. So
just a heads up, my cousin's coming over in a minute, so if I disappear for a few minutes, that's why.
All right, you're good. We'll try and roll through these again. Like I said, that's going to be tough for Texas if they can manage to get the wins and get Quinn Ewers back. That will be a feat. I think they're going to drop at least one or maybe two of these games, but I don't know. Maybe Malik Murphy's got what it takes. Maybe we'll get to see Arch Manning a little bit. I don't know.
It'd be dope to see Arch. Like, I hope like they blow out like TCU and like Arch gets in there. Cause like, you got to think like, I think, where's that game? I believe that game is, TCU is at TCU, but like, if there's a chance that they can get Arch in there at home, dude, it's going to pop and in Austin, man, it's going to pop.
And then also Texas has a defense. So don't be surprised if the coaches are in there pep talking them going, hey, the defense has got to step up now because our main guy just went down. And don't forget about Xavier Worthy. He's still a good wide receiver. They still got weapons on the perimeter and that running back. So Texas, I think they'll be okay, but we'll see. Maybe they drop one or two. And then now the Big 12 kind of wide open. I mean, UCF almost took down Oklahoma. That would have caused chaos in the Big 12. That would have just been utter chaos, and I'm all here for it.
It's time for some chaos.
It is time
I love
for
chaos. We need chaos.
Do I have a bad memory, or has there just been a lack of chaos ever since like week 1, Texas over Bama?
I think we hit a lull, but I mean, speaking of chaos,
I don't know.
Goes down to Virginia.
I think USC's chaos right now. What are we talking about? What?
Yeah, USC.
Yeah, but they're like chaos.
I'm just opening the door to talk about some more recent shit that has been worth watching that people might have missed.
It's a podcast tactic.
I mean, hey, you know what? Just so we can like move forward. Like I know we're gonna talk about USC. USC giving up that long run late in the fourth quarter to set up the game-winning field goal for Utah is the epitome of how shitty USC's defense is.
You mean Lincoln Riley's defense?
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley. Yes, Lincoln Riley as a coach. If there's a defense, you might as well sit down. Like, don't even play. Like, if you get recruited to play at Lincoln Riley, that should be an insult. Like, wait, you think I'm bad at defense?
I just hope Bear Alexander is loving his decision to not play any defense that anybody's paying attention to instead of sitting in Athens. But that's just me being personal and petty, which this is college sports. Isn't that kind of what this is about?
I mean, he only got ejected from this late in the game. So losing that guy is something. But, if there's 11 guys on defense, not one. So that one transfer does not mean a lick for USC. I don't think I had more rants on the radio than when it came to Lincoln Riley's defense in my years of sports broadcast.
Speaking of coaching in this game, as for Lincoln Riley's defense, obviously it's kind of been a trend that USC fans are going to have, or USC fans are going to have to get used to. Oklahoma fans are sitting there going, "We told you so," but I don't know if they're right to do that. Well, I don't know. We'll see. But Kyle Whittingham, excellent coach, man, for Utah. And I sent this in the group chat here. Every time USC would sub, Utah would do their best to send a big old lineman and sub them and kind of slow down and chew the clock. Here's an example of it. USC subs. Utah goes, oh, wait, they subbed? We get a sub. Big old 58. Taking his damn time. And look, they're acting confused like they don't know who subby is. Hey, buddy, come in. You're out. Ref, giving them all the time in the world. That is excellent coaching, excellent way to slow a very good USC offense down. And they get
a delayed game for that because they subbed out. It's not the defense's fault. Defense is allowed to make the proper adjustments that they feel need.
Yep, that's flopping with class.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's beautiful too. Beautiful.
And one more thing, one more piece of chaos from this week. And I don't know if you could call it a chaos because I mean, we were both I think we were on the fence about this Miami Clemson game.
Ooh,
I
this
thought
is a good
Clemson
one. I like
would
that.
walk away with the win, but Miami walks away with the win in overtime in Miami. And there's a play call there at the end where Dabo says that it was supposed to be a give, and Cade Klubnik pulled it, and that was not the call. It was not a read option. It was a give all the way. And if you take a look at the play, I think if you would have gave it, you would have had it. Oh, this is just what Dabo says. So let's hear what Dabo says.
Hand off, 100%. And we didn't hand off. Just pulled it. I got no answer. I mean, just trying to do too much. And so no RPO. It's a give.
It's a give. And
you know where they have? You know where he can find a quarterback to hand it off? The transfer. Never mind.
No, he doesn't believe in that.
Yeah, I don't believe in that one.
Look at this.
I like that one.
I mean, maybe he would have made it in. Miami's got some penetration going right there.
It's so. But here's the thing about this.
I think he would have made it.
If you look at some of these comments, like TND, he does great. 4-1 bro really threw his own QB under the bus. The reason why he does is like people are like, oh, that's just Dabo. It's because this is not the first time that Klubnik hasn't listened. This has happened multiple times. So he's defended him before, but when you're losing games in a situation when you're not listening to your guy, if there's a time you should listen to a play call or a coach, it's when the game's on the line. Because if I'm a player, I'm dying by that play call. Because the last thing I want to do is try and go above a coach's call. One, that's going to insult your coach. Two, it can cost you the game like it did for Klubnik. And three, it can end your ass up on the bench or off the team. I think it's one of the dumbest things to do. Because here's the thing. If that play call doesn't work and you guys execute it right, whose fault is that? That's coach. That's coach, right? Dabo dies with that.
I just love that Dabo has gone from criticizing the fans last week to now throwing his quarterback under the bus this week. And I love it. I love to see it.
Yeah, he's getting grumpy and old. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't want to say he threw him under the bus as much as like I don't know. You got to get onto him somehow. There. I don't know if it's throwing him under the bus. I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, if he's not listening, he's not listening. You can't because like Dabo can only take so much of like, oh yeah, this guy like, it wasn't his play call, like right, Dabo's like. It's not his play call.
If I can give a benefit of the doubt to Cade is when he was at the line, on initial look, that far left side of the field looked wide open. Just unfortunately, it was read real quickly by the defense. That's the only thing I can give him in terms of benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Looked like he would have. I don't know. There's a reason why coaches do what they do, and if you're a quarterback, it's your job just to do it. That way, if he gets stopped in the press conference, Cade goes, "I'm just doing my job. The call was a handoff."
Exactly. And here's the thing. Let's say that Cade does get that in there and he does make magic happen. You're still going to have a pissed off head coach. You don't give a shit if you won. You didn't listen to his damn play call. I feel like this is not even just football 101 or quarterback 101. I feel like that's just athlete 101. Just do what he says because it's his call. Die by his call. Don't try and make your own because this is going to insult and piss him off.
All right. One more thing. I know I keep on saying one more thing. We got a couple of clips I want to show. This was from the Iowa-Minnesota game, which was an under hit, and I called that one. But Iowa had the win here, man, and the refs called it a, I guess, illegal fair catch or bad fair catch call here on this punt return. So right here, see the guy, he's waving his guys off saying, Peter, 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 and jukes about all the Golden Gophers and takes off. All the cancer kids are jumping in there in the hospital, and they score a touchdown. Half the Iowa fans just woke up. They're like, holy shit, we won. I can't believe it. We got points. And yeah, and then the referee comes in and says this.
The returner waved his left hand, which is an invalid fair catch signal. Therefore, by rule.
Oh, boo!
I mean, there's just a major difference. I know,
That's
like,
so dirty.
I mean, this is a fair catch.
my
This is a
gosh.
wave off. This is the fair catch. This is the wave off. How hard is that?
I'm so,
Lateral?
I'm done.
Longitude.
The pain in like 80,000 Iowans.
You know who didn't think it was a fair catch? The entire kicking team. That's how you know it's a shit call.
It was a terrible call. I
I
think
mean,
I
he's just waving. I mean, we see that all the time, right? Like, and they never call that because he just got a lucky bounce and it came literally right to him. He's like, "Oh, I can take this."
I'm literally Googling this right now. I'm wanting to know like what this means in terms of football. He said it was an invalid fair catch call.
So
Because he
said-
waved his
what the
left
hell does
hand.
that
So
mean?
here's the thing. He's saying that he signaled a fair catch, and he didn't. And so when that happens, defense will let off to let him catch the ball fairly. And so when he did that and then takes off for the end zone, he shouldn't be. That's when a fair catch happens. They catch the ball and they stand there. He took the ball and returned it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, I was just kidding. I'm gonna actually just take this and return it.
So how is a kick returner supposed to signal? Watch out, Michigan, to his teammates to clear the area so that they don't make contact with the ball? They can't do it now.
Exactly.
Is everything a fair catch call?
Well,
And that's done regularly.
So usually
a regular
when this
thing.
does happen, when this does happen, they don't return this call. Like, because if they wave it off and they don't catch it, nothing happens.
No,
right?
I mean,
Nothing happens. But since he waved it off, ref signaling, oh, that's a fair catch. Then he takes it and then returns it. That's why the penalties are like.
Oh, I
assessed.
totally get all that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if your intention the entire time is I'm returning this fucking kick, but I need my teammates to give me the 5-yard buff, like, hey, don't let this hit you. Get away, so I can run up, grab this thing, and house it. That's not a fair catch. This is fair. This is clear. Get away from the ball.
it was
That's the way it's
that
always
used to
been
be
to
a
me.
rule. Like, because I remember we went to a game back in 2014. It was Marshall versus Southern Miss, and kid threw up his hand like this, and they took the ball back, and they didn't say it was a fair catch. But now they'll say this is a fair catch. But
it's called bad calls. That's a bad call too. That would be more close to the invalid.
that's what I'm saying. This is invalid. They said this wasn't a fair catch, but this was a fair catch. When because it's supposed to be a clear hand above head.
Yes.
Right. Yeah,
over the
but
shoulder.
I don't know, but that was a very unfortunate call against the Hawkeyes, and I don't know why, but I thoroughly enjoyed the pain and all that. I don't know. And the offensive coordinator's got to score a whole bunch of more points to not get fired because it's a contract this year.
It's kind of funny. It's really funny. You're kind of just laughing at someone else's demise.
Yeah. And speaking of someone else's demise, this poor guy running.
Oh God, this is hilarious.
That phone still hasn't landed. That phone
Saban, where's
still
the
has not
scholarship?
landed.
That was a
Where
phone,
is
right?
the scholarship?
Yeah.
All CFP said that. But yeah, that phone. Watch this phone just take. Oh my god.
And then the blue guy comes up to talk shit.
Yeah,
taunting.
I talk so
fucking-
much shit.
3 to
Thing is,
5
this
years
game is
probation for taunting.
This game is way over too.
Yeah,
Like,
watch the
how
phone,
many
watch the
people
phone.
are gone?
He's
This-
already.
first of all,
look at his
this-
hands.
This
Look
guy
at his
can get.
hands and arms.
He could
all
be
the way
somewhere in the country on a D2 team. I know it. He loads perfectly.
This kid makes
Dude,
no
there's a
effort.
coach out there. There's a coach out there that's like, hey, how old is that guy? What's his eligibility status?
Yeah, he clocked out of eligibility back in 2012. Sadly, more than likely.
3, 2, 1. Oh my god, that phone went.
Now
about
watch the guy in the blue. Watch the guy in the blue. He doesn't know what to do himself.
motherfucker.
Yeah, you get a muff you.
I just love how his arms are like, yeah.
Yeah.
Twitching over here.
Frat guys matter, I guess.
Oh
He's
my
gonna- they need a somebody needs to
guys
bail
fuck-
that kid out of college.
That was
This
awesome.
guy's huffing and puffing over there. He's like, yeah, that's right. Talk shit.
All
Talk
right,
shit,
the guy-
get hit, bitch.
He's
finally.
the guy that comes in whenever someone else gets into a fight and then he steps in last second after it's over. He's like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like
Finally,
he was gonna do anything.
That's going to bring us to week 9. Picks and lots. I love it. All right, here we go. We got games from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we can't go
50
over
days of football,
It's
baby.
awesome. I do want to know, Justin, do you think Western Kentucky is going to be able to get the win over Liberty?
So no, I don't. Unfortunately, because I was looking at that a lot. It's like I was like, oh, that's a really close line. Liberty should cover that. I'm like, oh, do I really want to bet against Austin Reed? Not really, because that's not really a guy you're supposed to bet against, because he will make you eat words. He's done it to a lot of people. So yeah, that's a tough game to stay away from. Can they do it? Yes. Will they? Probably not. Just because Western Kentucky's kind of off. Like they still have Austin. His numbers aren't what they were last year, but it's just like, I'm just like not really like betting them.
All right. I just wanted to know that for while it's sake. And since I got you on here, Magoo, we got Georgia State and Georgia Southern playing here. So I'm going to let you give a little take here. What do you think?
Well, it's the battle of the GSUs. Everybody always gets it wrong when they're announcing this game. Luckily, they can't fuck it up today or on whenever they play, because GSU, you'll be correct no matter who you're talking about. Georgia Southern, I think, has the better coach, they're just a better team. And yes, I'm biased. I haven't watched a single second of Georgia State, nor would I ever. That's why I would never bet this game. But give me Georgia Southern by, I'd say 9.
Looks like you only need 1.5. So if you're a betting man, looks like they're with you.
They're playing in Statesboro in Paulson Stadium. I don't know what time of the day the game is, but if it's night, it's Southern by 12.
It's gonna be 6:30 p.m. night game. There you go.
So this is actually one of my locks as like for this week. I'm riding Georgia State right now, just in the simple fact of they're playing ball. Don't. They're playing ball and they look really good in just multiple ways. I mean, they handled Marshall the way they did. I take that as a huge that's a huge sign of respect. If anyone handles Marshall the way they did, like they beat them worse than JMU did, worse than NC State did, like. They handle Marshall, and if you can handle Marshall and Rasheen Ali, you're a good team. And if this is going to be the second week in a row or third week in a row. No, they were favored versus Marshall, but second week in a row, they're not favored. So I will be taking them to cover that 1.5 and locking it in.
You're locked in. All right, sticking away from that. Florida State, 11 a.m. goes to Wake Forest and plays the Demon Deacons. I'm staying away from this. It's -20 Florida State. I could see someone going -20 Florida State. I could see someone going plus 20 Wake Forest just because of the Boston College game earlier. But I don't think I'm hung up on that anymore. I think Florida State turned it on against Duke. I think they'll turn it on against Wake Forest. I think Florida State gets a win. So yeah, I don't know. I think one of us has a lock here. Maybe more of us.
Which one are we talking? Wait, sorry,
Florida State at Wake Forest.
Oh, I'm staying away. I didn't. This is like my first week in a while. I haven't made it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Davis might have a lock, but I'm not entirely sure. So we can.
I can pull it up real quick. Oh wait, I think he does. He's MIA. He is currently missing action. He has Wake Forest plus 20.
Okay, so he does have Wake Forest plus 20. We'll go ahead and lock him in for that. I think Johnny Wilson is out of this game.
Where's this game? This game's at Wake Forest?
At Wake Forest.
Okay, well, I'm always down to bet against FSU. Lock me in plus 20. That'll be my replacement for the Texas game. Bet. Sure.
Okay, we can do that. I'll allow it. That sounds good. I mean, I can see it going either way. Florida State's, I think, positive against the spread here. So,
yeah, no, they've made me eat words. Like they're like probably like 4 of my losses on this year. If I'm being honest.
You're not.
I'm being dead ass. They're like 4 or 5 of my losses. Like they are a solid 25% of my losses.
I wouldn't ride this. I'll allow you to retract this lock if you want to.
I'll retract it. Fine. Like, I don't know. It's just like I don't know. They did blow out the Tech.
Florida State's good, man. They beat a good Duke team. They're a good team. Just because of that, the Boston College game was the only close.
I'm forever holding on to the Boston College game.
But here's
very clear.
but here's the thing: because the Boston College game happened, it will not happen again. They've gotten smacked in the face by a possible defeat to a really bad team.
But then they almost lost to Clemson. They were
Well,
a field goal away.
well, that just shows that now they have even that much more resolve. I mean, 20 is a lot. 20 is a lot.
20 is a
whole
lot.
shitload. But they're not losing to Wake Forest.
Yeah, we're talking about your lock, Sweetiekins. You walked away, and now we're talking about your lock for you. So if you want to go
Oh,
ahead. Yeah.
Sorry about me.
Florida State, Florida
yeah, so
State Wake Forest. You son of a bitch. I think we'll move on.
You know, we covered it for him. He locked in Wake Forest plus 20. We're moving on.
Good points, Dave. Good points.
Yep.
I agree with all of them.
I
Hey,
agree with all
am I
that.
back? Am I back?
Nope, just kidding. I'm just kidding. That guy. Yep. Goodbye.
Just like that guy in Bryant Denny. Just tag him out here.
He's throwing me off. I was almost about to.
Well,
kick
see,
him.
Davis is actually using that guy's phone. It's just flying up in
That's
the air
right.
right now.
He can't tell if it's on.
That's how you know the new iPhone just came out. His has stopped working. So Oklahoma is going to Kansas. Kansas is 5-2, and Oklahoma's favorite -9.5 here, and the over under 66. I'm staying away because I'm getting scared after watching the UCF game and how close that was. I don't want to take 9.5 here. I think Kansas is a good team. I think Oklahoma will get the win, but I'm not going to lock it in. I'm going to stay away from it.
Let's see.
This is a weird game. I mean, I like that it's at Kansas, and I hope it's going to be a great game. But right now, it's too hard to lock because of that blunder with UCF last week. So personally, I will just not be touching this game.
Yeah,
Well,
Magoo, you
gosh.
got anything here?
Kansas is coming off a bye. Their last game they lost at Oklahoma State by a touchdown, 39-32. Kansas was ranked on the road, and they lost. So they had to lick their wounds for 2 weeks on that while looking at Oklahoma being vulnerable. They might come in thinking that they can fuck them up, and Oklahoma's coming off pissed that they put out that showing this past week. This has the ingredients for Oklahoma to come out and thump them, is all I'm saying.
I agree. I think you're right on that. I completely forgot about the bye week, and they might have had 2 weeks to prep, and Oklahoma did not have 2 weeks to prep. They got 1 week, so we'll see. That's a good point. I'm still gonna stay away from it. I'm still gonna stay away from it, but I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at a lot. But
Yeah, I'm staying away from this game too, mainly because I think that Oklahoma is going to rebound the close game that was UCF. Kansas. I was going to say Kansas is frisky. I just combined the two words, but no, Kansas is still a frisky
Kansy there.
team. Oh, Kansas. So no, I think they're a frisky enough team to where it was not enough for me to want to take this. Kansas just might cover.
You know what that
But
sounds like?
Brown.
That sounds like what Taylor Swift tells her girlfriends where she's going on Sundays to watch her boyfriend play football.
Oh, Kansas.
all right. Moving on because we gotta be fast. Indiana at Penn
He's super fast. Zoom.
Indiana at Penn State. Penn State's covered pretty much every single game besides that Ohio State game. It's at Penn State. Penn State's favorite -32. The over-under is 44.5. We got any takers on the pod? I think Penn State's going to come back and win. I don't know about
I will make this. I will take the over. Indiana, Penn State, lock it in. That will be mine.
There you go. You found a
Found something. Yeah.
pretty quick. That was a pretty quick find. I like that. I like Penn State. I like him to cover the -32 here. I think they get back to their winning ways. I do see a scenario where Drew Aller kind of has it in his head where he's like, I'm not good anymore. That's exactly how you say it.
No. I don't think so at all.
No. So here's the thing. Penn State was averaging 45 points per game going into the Ohio State game. So if they can't get there with that by themselves and maybe let Indiana get a point or two, like I think they should cover that over pretty solid, especially in Beaver Stadium. Yeah.
Are you locking in the over? You're locking in the over 44.5?
Over 44.5. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like
and,
that.
and Penn State's defense accounts for at least 10 points. I'm talking like defensive touchdown and immediately maybe a block kick.
Yeah.
So
Indiana's just not good.
No.
I love it. I love the takes here. I do like that over, and you're making me want to put it in, but I already got my locks, and I'm gonna stick with them. Next game, South Carolina at Texas A&M. Any takers here? Both teams kind of in bad situations.
Silken. Yeah, talk about a buyout, an impending buyout for Jimbo. Like, I mean, unfortunately, they got a lot of money at Texas A&M. They'll buy him out, but damn, like, what a great place to get fired from. Like, you're walking away getting paid.
Ooh, I don't know, man. This game is tough. I think I would take Texas A&M, but South Carolina to cover just because of Texas A&M's offense and how they usually do.
If it was a night game in Columbia, I would lean more South Carolina's way. It's a noon game, 11 a.m. game, whatever, at Kyle Field. Carolina ain't got that. That crowd's gonna be loud as shit. They're gonna be amped up. That's literally the furthest you can travel and still be in the SEC, from Columbia, South Carolina, out to A&M. And I think they're gonna show up worn out and tired and not wanting a lot to do with it.
I think that's a pretty good take there. Speaking of Kansas State earlier and Houston, we talked about Houston earlier with that Hail Mary win over West Virginia and then a close loss to Texas. They go to Kansas State. Kansas State's kind of hot right now. Minus 17 is a lot of points. And they kept it close against Texas. If I had to bet this game, I think I would bet Houston with plus 17, but I wouldn't feel good about it. I think Kansas State could whoop them. This is an interesting game right here.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas State is averaging damn near 40 points a game. I don't know what Houston's defensive, standing is, but I don't think they get there with Houston. I can see this like a 38-23 kind of a game, but I still got Kansas State.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I got Kansas State winning too.
Give me Kansas State.
I have Kansas State, maybe just because it's at home. But Houston, man, that team, they're a decent team. They really are. I don't think their record does them justice.
No,
I think it's too much purple. It's too much purple for them to overcome. I don't think they get the win there. We'll skip around. I want to do a couple quick picks. I won't share the screen. West Virginia goes to UCF, and UCF coming off that heartbreak. And West Virginia, they're still on my shit list. I'm gonna pick UCF. UCF's minus 7 to win. It's in the bounce house, so I'll go UCF Knights.
Yeah, I think this is where they'll find that first Big 12 win, get on the board. Be a good one for them. And fuck the Nears, always.
All right. Texas, absent Quentin Ewers, hosts the BYU Mormons. I mean, the BYU Cougars. And it's minus 17.5 right now. I think we're going to see a lot of line movement, maybe towards BYU, but who knows? I would take BYU minus 17.5 right now if I could, but I don't know.
You mean plus 17?
I think
plus 17.
It's plus 17 or plus 17.5 for BYU. Now, I think Texas is still going to handle this game. I think that they're still going to move forward. Malik Murphy, by all accounts, this guy's a freshman, 6'5" out of LA. From what I understand, he beat out Arch Manning. Like, this guy's beating out Arch Manning. Like, remember I said at the beginning of the year that Arch Manning might transfer after a year? That could still happen if Malik Murphy stays in the conversation. So I think he's going to do just fine leading this team.
Yep, I could see that as well. Anyone else on Texas BYU here?
But do you lock it in?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Texas is winning. I think they're going to struggle to cover, and it's only because you got a week to completely adjust to a new quarterback, regardless of how good he may end up being. that's never easy when you go from a Quentin Ewers to literally fill in the blank.
No, I completely agree with you on that one. And I don't know. I do hope to see Arch Manning at some point. So I hope they kind of blow him out and we get to see that, but who knows? All right. NC State hosts Clemson. Clemson hopping mad after that loss against Miami. They were up
Hopping.
17-7 and
Hopping.
dropped it. Yeah, Cade Klubnik is going to have to come out and ball out. Clemson's favorite, -10. I think Clemson gets the win after last week, but I'm staying away from it as well. If anyone else wants to comment on that game, I know it's a tough game. They're both 4-3 at this point.
NC
Yeah.
State and Clemson have put on some pretty good games in the
Yeah.
not so distant past, and I think this will be another one because both teams are still trying to prove that they have something worth fighting for. And I think there's a lot of talk around Clemson, at least outside of Clemson, that it's like this thing is not a sinking ship, but it's definitely on the decline. NC State, they're 4-3. They're right where everybody kind of expected them to be, but Clemson's still a name brand that they would like to take down and mount that, pelt on their wall. So
Tiger Pelt.
I think this will be a very fun game to watch. I think it'll be gritty, close, and this is a pick 'em as far as I'm concerned.
It's at NC State too, so maybe it'd be 13 points towards Clemson favored if it was at Clemson. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it'll be a good game, and they played Notre Dame close earlier in the season. And I don't know. I just think Clemson comes out with a chip on their shoulder after last week, but this is their third loss of the season. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see about that. All right. This game could have been our game of the week easily. Oregon going to Utah. Utah after that big win at USC, and Oregon coming off that win against Washington State.
Doesn't that mean that Utah's like 4-0 against USC in the last 4 times they played?
Yeah, no, they've won 4 in a row. They
Like
beat,
literally, they're like Lincoln Riley is like, nah, bitch.
I mean, Utah's just. I'm not going to take anything away from Kyle Whittingham, and I think USC is a good team still.
Yeah. If Caleb
I mean-
Williams had more fingers, he would have to repaint his nails. Fucked by Utah.
Hey,
I completely agree. But Cam Rising is officially no comprende on the season. So
yep, but I mean, it hasn't made a difference as of yet.
no, I mean they've held their own. They've played great, and they've been doing what they should be doing. And also they still haven't lost at home, right? I mean, yeah, like I'm pretty sure. I forget what their streak is. Yeah, like they have like 20 something games at home that they've won consecutively, and now they're hosting Oregon. Like they play well when it comes to playing
Mhm.
at home. Like this is their place to be.
I agree, and I think Oregon is equally as good of a team. I even think their loss to Washington. I think in that game they looked like the better team. They just did not win, and they put themselves in a couple tough positions. With this game though, it's too close to call for me on who wins. So I'm going to lock in the over 49. Apparently we had 49.5, but it says 49 right here. So I'll go with the 49. And I think that's a lock that a couple people have right now.
I was about to
Yeah,
say
it's
that's
a-
the
yeah.
I think that's the easiest lock of the week.
It's
This
a
is the
pod
lock
wide
of the week.
lock. Pod
Like,
wide
how-
lock.
Like, are people in Vegas just begging us to take this? Do they know something that we don't know? Because
Don't
49
say that.
is,
Don't
is a
say-
sucker's bet.
shut up.
It's a
Just
well, no. So like, but
stop
I'm
it.
taking the over. I'm
They
taking
know-
the over.
yes,
I'm
they know-
stupid
Shut up.
for not taking the over.
Because you're going
I'm
to make
taking
them
the over.
mad, and then they're going to do their Vegas voodoo, and they're going to change, like they're going to make it a defensive matchup.
Well, it's like they've been doing this with Michigan for like the last 2 weeks, where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna for anything involving Michigan, we're gonna put the over and under at like 43," and then they go out there and shit pump the other team and score like 49 themselves.
They know
Like,
something
so-
about Bo Nix's lung capacity at elevation. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, maybe that's what they know.
The hell with
Nah.
you, stupid.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what they know, but the hell with school. I'm going with the over. That way we
I'm
can
going with the over. Lock it in.
Over,
yeah.
lock, and roll.
And I'm also taking Dan Lanning and the Fighting Ducks to go avenge their loss to Washington and make the run to the Pac-12 championship.
Not so fast, my friend.
I'm going Utah gets the win.
Give
All
me
right.
your turn.
But we're gonna lock in all the overs because it's just gonna be a fun game anyway to watch. But yeah, I don't know why. Like I was agreeing with you, Magoo, I was agreeing with you.
until that
And
one.
then something about like I was looking at this game earlier today,
Yeah, a little
and I was just like, I have a feeling Utah is going to win.
Peter tingle.
Yeah, a little.
Peter tingle.
Yeah, I did have a little
Got
Peter.
your feeling, by the way.
I mean, I near about tickled my Peter to that USC loss. That was awesome. I love watching Utah win that game. And this is a football team that beat Florida in the first game of the season. And I forgive you. I forgive you after beating USC. I'll tell you that much. Pittsburgh going to Notre Dame. It's -20. I want to get this pick out here because I know Davis, you're our Notre Dame correspondent since your family and you're Notre Dame guy.
Hardly.
Hard.
But-
I know. I know.
And by the way, it's family
the pure
friends.
disgust.
Hey, no, like, dude, no. I will say, all due respect to Notre Dame, I've been to that campus a handful of times. Been to 2 games there. Love that place. It's a hell. If there's a bucket list place to go watch a football game, go watch a football game at Notre Dame. But
Barely.
no. I guess one thing I would have to say about this game is that Notre Dame ought to be careful because Pittsburgh is a weird team. They're a weird team. I can't put my finger on this team. But
They're a weird
but
team at Pittsburgh.
But here's the deal. Like Notre Dame -20. I thought about taking Notre Dame in this game. I think they're definitely gonna win this game. In fact, actually, the first Notre Dame game I went to was Pittsburgh against Notre Dame, and Pitt won that game. But that was back in 2004. Yes, I do remember that game. But Notre Dame's gonna win this one. But I'm not locking them in.
Was that back when they
They're
had
gonna
Larry
win, though.
Fitzgerald catching everything thrown anywhere near him?
Larry Fitzgerald was a senior on that team. That was the year that Pitt won the Fiesta Bowl, I think.
Yeah.
That reminded me of Tropical Thunder. You mama make me happy. All right, Duke going to Louisville here. Louisville.
Yay.
Speaking of Pitt, coming off that rough loss at Pitt, they thought they were hot shit, but they lost to Pitt. And now Duke coming off loss at Florida State. Absent Riley Leonard, ? We don't know if he's going to be back for this game. He was trying to make it back for last game. Coach wouldn't let him. Mike Elko said, no, you're not playing. We're keeping you.
I'm kind of annoyed by that, right? Like, all right, it's an ankle. Okay, ankles are like, and he was jogging up and down the field. All right, so take the hell out of it. Let him go back in there. And if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. If you lose this game, your season's kind of over, and you're playing for some crappy little Thursday bowl game in December.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if he plays this game, I think Duke wins. But that's why I stayed away from it because we don't know if he's going to play or not. Louisville's -4 favorite at home. Over/under 46. If anything, I'll go with the over. But I don't know if he's not playing. I would question that as well.
Yeah, I personally just
This game falls right in the golden rule of when in doubt, go with the home team.
Yeah, I could see that as well. That's a good point. I think you're right, and I think maybe Louisville's got a chip on their shoulder, and they know it's wide open. So if they win this, they're that much closer to being in the ACC championship, getting a shot at Florida State. So that's something to play for. Washington's going to Stanford. I regretted it last time I did this, but
Who cares?
Washington's going to win. Washington's going to kick the shit out of Stanford at Stanford. It doesn't. We don't need to cover it. That's
Agreed.
And if I have to apologize 2 weeks in a row, so be it. Michael Penix had a bad week last week, so he's going to come back and have a good week this week. That's just how it's going to be.
We're riding Penix. Yeah, we're riding Penix.
We're riding Penix.
Ride not Penix.
Ride Penix so hard. All right. Air Force at Colorado State. We gotta cover this just because Air Force is doing good. They're -12-point favorite over Colorado State here. I think they get the win. I don't know about 12 points.
12 points, you say?
That's a lot. That's a lot of points.
Points.
Moving forward, Colorado goes to UCLA. Any takers there? Colorado, UCLA. I think UCLA.
It's one of my.
I think UCLA wins that game.
It's one of my.
Apparently, Colorado has given up the most yardage on defense out of all 130 FBS teams. They are dead last in terms of giving up yardage. They give up over 400 yards a game.
And that's okay because they put up 400 themselves. But
Well, ask Lincoln Riley if that's successful.
okay, here's the thing. Dion just got to Power 5. He's been living here and paying a mortgage, essentially. He's been here so long, and his defense looks like that.
Hey, trust me. Don't get me wrong. He's going to recruit a serious defense next year.
Don't give me – I will stand up for Dion real quick. I haven't had
Hey,
to
so will I.
recently.
So will I. I'm speaking of what's going on right now. I think the future is bright for Colorado.
Anyways, this is one of my locks. I will take Colorado plus 17 because of it'll be a shootout, and that the Rose Bowl does not mean anything when it is in the middle of the fall.
I locked you in, but I don't think that was on your locks earlier. So whatever the graphic is, you're gonna have to send in.
Whoa, I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't think it was. I don't know. I don't know. It might have been.
Lying.
If it was, that'd be good. That'd be good.
Colorado has maxed
No,
out their
I'm
win.
lying. Never mind. I did that wrong. Oops.
Colorado has reached their ceiling of wins this year. They're losing this game and many more to come. Is Travis Hunter still out with the lacerated liver? Is he
He's supposed to be
even
back.
He was back in.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back.
okay?
He's back. He played their last game when they blew the 29-0 lead.
I missed that all the way out here on the right coast. It was too late for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
when it was 2 a.m. at a bar, I was enjoying it. I was having a great time.
yeah, that was a wild game to watch. I was falling asleep, and every time I'd wake up, Stanford had scored again. So I was like, that's not a good sign. And then I did witness Ayo Mayor or Ayo Major, whatever his last name is, just catch it over Travis Hunter's head. If you saw that catch where the Stanford guy caught it over his helmet, that was Travis Hunter. Got it caught over him. I'm going to bring this game up because Justin suggested it as the shot game of the week. Obviously, he's a Marshall guy. They're going to Coastal Carolina on that teal field. And I'll bite. I'll take Coastal Carolina. I'll take Coastal Carolina at home. That's fine. We can do it. I don't doubt your Marshall Thunder and Kurt, though. I just want to let you know. I don't doubt it. It just depends on where Davis wants to go. Does Davis want to be teal or green?
You do it too, Davis.
I think I like green. I like green. I'm a fan of green. I got some green on. I got a little bit of green on right up in here.
Then we'll make it official.
I like it.
Coastal Carolina at Marshall. I even got it right. I knew.
Well, I never gave my pick. What the hell, man?
We already know.
Roll fucking herd. Let's go, baby.
There you go. I guess I'll probably be taking a shot next week, but we'll see. We'll see about that. All right.
Adolis Garcia hit a home run.
Yeah, there's our baseball update. Now back to college football here.
NLCS is going to Game 7. Fuck the Phillies.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, not the Phillies.
As I'm watching Game 7 of the ALCS.
Rob, we're losing them. We're losing them, Rob.
I'm sorry.
I'm here.
I'm trying to reel it in.
I am here.
It is a Monday night, and Monday Night Football is also starting, so we got to get to that. Tulane is going to Rice. They're number 22, so I'm just going to mention them in case you wanted to talk about them. I think they get the win over the food. I think they eat Rice.
Never bet on Rice. Never.
Yeah, we'll never bet on Rice. USC, although I did hear that last week they were trying to get the world's longest.
You ever bet on Rice? Whenever it comes to your phone's wet. No. It never works. That never works. You never bet on that.
It's the old Chinese riddle.
I just saw a joke there.
No, that actually does work if you put your phone in Rice.
It's never worked for me. I never bet on it.
It's worked for me. It's worked for me. One of my old slide phones, but pre-iPhone.
Yeah,
slide phones.
It's definitely
because those slide phones had more exit points and entry points, so the water got easier, whereas an iPhone
just like your mother. We're moving on. All right, here we go.
My dad's listening.
USC goes to California,
and I bet he's laughing.
Yeah,
no.
that was a great one. Bunch of exit and entry points. USC's -11 favorite. I think USC gets the win over Cal here and covers. They're too pissed off not to cover. Wyoming at Boise State. I think Wyoming gets a win here. I just want to mention this because Wyoming's not favorite. I think Wyoming gets the win here. I got them +5. I'm not locking it in though. And oh man, North Carolina, Georgia Tech. That's a tough one. I'm staying away from it. Old Dominion, James Madison. What do you say about Old Dominion, James Madison?
Oh, this is a great one. It's one of my locks. So Old Dominion They've played some really good ball. They beat App State. That's really cool. They played Marshall really tough. I think they have a really good chance to win this. JMU, they don't really blow out teams. Essentially, they are more of a we're going to play you really tough. We're going to let you hang around for the 2-score, 3-score area. But 18 points is not like where they really like lay. They're like we like the 1-score games. They don't really go that deep. Like South, they beat South by 8. They beat Utah State by 7. Beat Troy by 2. Beat Virginia by 1. Georgia Southern, they did blow them out, but they beat Marshall by 11. So 18, I'm going to take that. ODU, lock me in.
ODU.
Damn. See, I've only seen
Ouch.
JMU versus Southern, so I think JMU is the third best team in all of college football based on that one game. They are ranked in the top 25.
I mean, they are a wagon. I would say.
I was close to locking this one in too. I held off, but JMU, they're a fun team. They're a fun team. You know, they're fresh into FBS. Although I heard something that they're not going to be bowl eligible based on a rule.
Correct.
Like, it doesn't matter what they do this year. They're not going to go to a bowl game. So
Correct.
Just win. Just finish undefeated and
Just
tell
do
the
what Ohio State
NCAA,
did.
do this.
Just do what Ohio State did.
Yeah,
Yet
dude,
again, another stupid NCAA rule: when you move divisions, you're immediately ineligible to go to a bowl. Why, I don't know. What would be a better Cinderella story than have a former 1AA team, whatever the fuck you call it out,
New Year's Six bowl, right? Like
FCS to FBS, and then immediately be in a bowl. Like, you're incentivize that.
But the thing is that they were in Sunbelt last year, so that doesn't make sense.
They were, yeah. This is their second year. It's like telling UWF when they were in their second year of school, they weren't eligible for the postseason. They went to the national championship that year.
It's a 2-year.
No, that can't be true because Marshall, when they when did we transfer over? Because we were winning bowl games in '99, but we won D2.
Marshall's been. I think we're talking about divisions, correct? Or
well, no, Marshall was D2, and then they were winning bowl games like within 3 years of like within when they won a national championship with D2 and they went D1. They went D1 with Moss and Pennington, or
that's like years ago. That's like years.
But we're also talking about the
I don't know,
NCAA that makes up rules as they see fit when they feel like it. So this could have been made in 2014.
So fun fact: the JMU team, they are not eligible for a bowl game. However, they could play in a bowl game if there are not enough bowl eligible teams.
Yeah.
So they're not going to play in a bowl game because
So they're not going to play in a bowl game.
Oh well, we'll see. All right, next game. This SEC matchup: Tennessee going to Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky. Tennessee is -3.5 favorite, and I want to see Kentucky beat the shit out of Tennessee like they did Florida, and I think it might happen. I can't lock it in though. Tennessee just let me down. Like after watching that first half of the Alabama game, you're like, okay, and then you watch 10 seconds, not 7 seconds into, maybe it was like 17 seconds into the second half of the Alabama game. You're like, Alabama's gonna win.
2 plays, 75 yards, touchdown to open up the second half.
What was that?
Yeah.
It was like 7 seconds into the second half or something like that. You're like, okay, they figured him out. They got him. I saw watching. I was like, I don't have to watch the rest of this game.
No, the thing is, they looked like Bama. Like when I say that, I don't mean like Bama looked good. I'm saying they looked like Bama. They treat second down like it's third down. That's the type of team they've always they were, and they just moved the ball no one could fuck with them, and they got first downs within 2 plays each time. They looked like Bama in that one.
You're talking about Alabama looked like Alabama, right? In the second half?
I'm saying in the second half, they came out and they looked not like the Bama looking good this year. I'm thinking just that dynasty era Saban where it's you don't really fuck with Saban if you're not a good team. They looked like that.
So what did Kentucky look like here? Or what did Tennessee look like there? Because it was not good. And they're coming off a big loss against Missouri and Georgia. Kentucky's hungry for a win, man. I think they get it here against the Volunteers. What do you guys say?
I do not. I do not. I think Kentucky was exposed against Georgia, and Missouri capitalized on that and just further stamped that point. Tennessee's coming off of their biggest game of the year so far and they're going to be fucking pissed because they know their Super Bowl is still in Knoxville, in Neyland, in a month when the guys in red come to town, and they cannot afford the shit talk that will be coming their way. They will beat Kentucky. They will play with a sense of purpose that they did in the first half against Bama, but this time for a full 4 quarters.
Yeah, that's a good take. That's a good take. I like that one. But I actually have to get going here soon because I have to get to a prior obligation. So I'm gonna give my last lock if we can fast forward to that, and then I gotta go. But
Yeah,
hey,
what's
to
your last
interrupt that. Oregon State, Arizona. Oregon State only getting -3.5 here is criminal. They've looked great, and I think they're going to cover here and do really well. So I think that should completely with Lux. ODU +18, Oregon State +3.5. We're doing Indiana and Penn State over 44.5. I also am taking Oregon, Utah over. And then the Mississippi State Auburn under. I forgot about that one. Yeah, gotta get that one in there.
There you go.
But yeah, essentially, I'm replacing the Texas game with the Indiana Penn State over, and then the Mississippi State Auburn under. That will also be taking place as well because they don't have any offense. But yeah.
There you go. I'll let you do that because I know you got to go. And we also got. I did want to mention this Oregon State. I was already going to pull it up. Oregon State at Arizona game. Arizona's sneaky good. Oregon State's good too. I think Oregon State's going to win, but this is a good game to watch. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. I've got Arizona. I've got Arizona winning outright. And now Oregon State. Keep in mind they've played really good. Arizona's also played sneaky good. They recently, well, I wouldn't really say recently. It was like in the last 3 games, they've gone with Noah Fafita, mainly due to injury, but he has played lights out. This team has been better with him at quarterback. And they absolutely demolished Washington State in their last game. They went on a bye. Now they have Oregon State. Let's see if they keep up the momentum at home. And I have them winning this ball game. Lock it in.
We're locking you in. All right, and that's going to bring us to, obviously, the game we skipped. It's going to be the game of the week. We brought Magoo on for a reason, everybody. It's Florida, Georgia. It's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Jacksonville, Florida. Here we go. All right, Georgia's obviously favored in this game, -14.5. They're coming off a bye week. Florida's coming off a bye week. Florida's 5-2, and if I can speak for all Florida fans, we did not expect to be 5-2 at this point in the season.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Make no qualms about it, guys. I do not think we're gonna win this game, but I think there's a chance we could play them close. But there's also a chance Georgia could just cream pie us, dude. Absolutely cream pie us. I don't know. Man. I'm not betting. I'm just rooting for us to keep it close.
As a lowly Florida fan, I really want to go first just so I can get my spiel out of the way. If I can give some positives, statistically, Graham Mertz is playing awesome. He is playing awesome. He's limited his mistakes. He's thrown like 12 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Carson Beck has thrown a little bit more interceptions, but then again, he's thrown for way more yards, but barely more pass attempts. That's the only real spiel I can do for Florida is, like, offensively, I think that they're going to move the ball a little bit. But here's where it's going to come down to is defensively, can we stop what Georgia has to offer? The one thing that I think Florida has going for them on defense is that they are not going to be facing off against Brock Bowers. And that's unfortunate because he's a hell of a tight end. I hate the fact that he's not playing, just maybe because I respect his talent so much, but he's going to be a first rounder. All that being said, this Georgia team is really talented. They're really deep, and the line is currently at 14.5. And I think if you're going to go to Vegas and sit down and look at this game and think, where am I going to make money? You got to put your money towards Georgia. I'm going to go Georgia here. I think that, as a fan, I hope I'm wrong. I want Florida to win. Obviously, that'd be amazing if Florida could win. But I think that Georgia is just too strong. They are too strong of a team. I think they're going to win this game by about 21, 24 points. It might be close at first, but they're going to pull away.
I believe you locked it in too, and I can't believe
I locked it in. I locked it in, Georgia 14 and a half.
I'm
That's tough, right? That's
Yeah.
tough.
as,
But
as a Florida fan.
It's a business decision at the end of the day.
I totally
I'm-
respect it. Totally
Yeah.
respect it, by the way. Thank you.
I'm taking it
I know
over
you
to you and gonna give you the spotlight here for your Georgia take.
Well, and I appreciate that. And thank you for having me on again. Obviously, going to be nothing but biased here. This is half the fun of being a fan of any sport is to have a team, root them on, and talk shit when they're playing their rivals. And I'm not even going to talk shit because we are without our best player. And not only our best player, but possibly the best player in college football. And I love that if he's going to be out, it's for this game so that Florida thinks, ooh, the door is open. We have a chance. I think what Georgia is going to prove, if not in this week, or not only this week, but the coming weeks, is that Georgia is a deep team. We not only have the best tight end in the country, but we have the deepest tight end room of any team in the country. Immediately, the guy that's going to be taking Brock Bowers' spot is his clone. If Oscar Delp, a sophomore, who was the number one tight end in the country coming out of high school, was standing next to Brock Bowers and they didn't have their jerseys on, you wouldn't be able to know who's who. I'm not saying he has the hands and the amazing catchable, spectacular playability, but we're about to find out. Sitting behind him is true freshman Lawson Lucky, also 4-star tight end, number 2 tight end in the country when he came out of high school. Those are the guys that have been waiting behind Bowers. Now is the time for them to come out, and between the two of them, try to equal 75% of Brock Bowers. And if they are capable of doing that, I agree. The Dogs win. The Dogs win big. And we leave Jacksonville heading to Missouri looking to take the East.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's hard to argue with you there, honestly. That's what I was telling people. It's like, don't act like they're not just going to reload at this position. They have 2 or maybe even 3 guys behind them. And as you just highlighted, I think y'all got some awesome recruits. I think Florida's got some awesome recruits in the pipeline, but most of Florida's guys are young freshmen. Florida's starting 11 freshmen each game. I think that was the most in the country. So Florida's still young in the secondary, super young. And I just don't see a world where Florida wins this game outright, barring some craziness. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
One point I was going to make. One point I was going to make, and I forgot it because I went tight end heavy, is the Florida's chance, and there is a chance that Florida does win this game. Florida's opportunity comes in the exact same way that Auburn had. Now, this isn't being played, quote unquote, it's at a quote unquote neutral site. But if one team starts to get ahead, that place gets very slanted very quick. I've been to Jacksonville, and it can get ugly and loud if it goes in one team's favor over the other. Going into the Auburn game, Georgia is still proving their identity post Stetson Bennett, post back-to-back natties, losing all the entire defense into the NFL. And we didn't know really what we had. We knew what we thought we had, but we hadn't seen it. Going on the road in the SEC against Auburn in one of the most hostile stadiums in the SEC when the fans want to be, and they were that day. The only thing that Georgia fans were talking about is we cannot sustain early turnovers. That's the only chance Auburn has to win. And they had them. And the place was up. It was loud. It literally, without Brock Bowers, we already come into this game with a loss. I will say that. And that is Florida's chance at winning, is getting early turnovers. If they can do that, Florida has a chance to win this game. And then anything's on the table.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make a big pop in the first 10 minutes. It could get very, very, very difficult for Florida.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, Florida has struggled with doing that too in some games, and whenever they don't score, first, even the analytics aren't on your side. If you don't score early on, your chances of winning go down exponentially.
Georgia has been a slow starting team in every game this year, I think with the exception of one game, which was, I think, against Vanderbilt. So, again, I stay on. I stay with that. We have been a slow starting. First 2 quarters have been just abysmal, and that is the opportunity that Florida has to capitalize on that. Force at least a turnover, a block kick, a couple of punts that they're able to do something with, and then we got a game.
I think it will be a good game, especially early on. But Davis, I think you're right. I think maybe Georgia does run away with it there in the end, but we'll see. It's a rivalry game. You never know. You got any closing thoughts, Davis?
Then the last time that you and I went to this game, Florida, you thought there was some hope.
Fun game.
And then, one, Philippe complete a pass. I mean, that was one. But then also, Georgia was just a stronger team. They pulled away late in the game. We went to Rough and Rowdy on Friday. And then on Sunday, we got to have an all-inclusive BC Sawgrass. That was the only highlights of that weekend because it did not result in a Florida win.
No, I mean, and then also
shout out
like
to having a buddy whose
game
grandfather was
gave
a
us
member of
the,
TBC.
Yeah, that was awesome. We
Go
got
ahead,
to walk
go
on
ahead.
TBC Sawgrass. Yeah, that was amazing. But Florida did have that goal line stop. It was like 10 or 11 plays straight where they were able to stop you guys, and the all white ices were nice. I don't know. I kind of miss Dan Mullen, but I like Billy. I like old Napier. He's doing good. But with that, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna go over these locks real quick. One more again, and the records. Davis, you're leading, my dude. You had a good week last week. You're now 26-17. We'll let you close out your locks here.
I gotta take this into Vegas. I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks. Streak into Vegas because this is where the money really talks. But I got Georgia, yes, 14.5. Louisville, I got them at home. Arizona with the upset. Wake Forest, not so much with the upset, but at least covering. And then I think that hands down easiest lock. It was 49.5 earlier. So it clearly changed in the 2 hours span that I gave you my locks and we did this podcast.
We'll give it 49. We'll give it 49.
Still a lock.
Okay. Same for me. I do have that 49.5. And if we're gonna,
that's where it is now, but
no, we'll keep it there because that's how we've been doing it. I got Iowa State winning. We didn't get to go over that one. We're running long, but they're playing Baylor, and Baylor's absolutely garbage. I'm gonna cut Davis off because he is choppy. Michigan State and Minnesota under 40. I think that's a good lock. I got it last week with the Minnesota under, so I'm gonna go 2 weeks in a row Minnesota under. I'm also going Mississippi State Auburn under because Mississippi State beat Arkansas 7-3 last week. So that was insane. And Auburn's got a defense, and I don't think they can score that much either. And then New Mexico's playing Nevada, and Nevada's garbage. So I got them in a pick 'em. I want to thank you, Magoo, for coming on one more time and chopping it up with us. Sorry we ran a little bit long, but we like to do our thing here and go over pretty much all the games, I guess.
No apologies necessary whatsoever. Thank you for having me on. As you can tell, I'm more than happy to. I'll go over every time you have me on because I like to talk about this shit too.
Nice. Sorry we had to cut you off there, Davis. You were getting a little choppy.
No, yeah, you guys were choppy too. So I don't know what the hell is going on.
Okay, good. Yeah, no.
I'm at my parents' house, and their internet's usually good, but.
All right, awesome. Well, we're wrapping it up. Thank you again for coming on, Magoo. And I'm not going to this game in Jacksonville, but tickets are low, $75, so I might get a wild hair. We'll see. You never know. That'd be a fun Halloween.
Yeah.
All right.